If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you'll know that I talk a lot about stepping up and being the CEO of your retail business. But what does that actually mean? Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering what next, or how do I even make this better? Then I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, and thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm Selena Knight, the retail strategist, and I am here to help you grow your retail or e-commerce brand. And as I sit down to record this, it is currently just after 7 o'clock at night. I don't tend to record my podcasts at night because I don't actually really like working at night, but I had all intentions of recording it this afternoon. I was fully set up. I literally pulled the microphone across. I had all my notes and my dot points in front of me. I pulled the microphone across and my next door neighbor started planing one of those old school bench seats. So the old school wooden tables with a wooden bench seat. He gets out his planer and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. You get the point, right? And so fast forward about 20 minutes, I am tapping my fingers, doing some fill-in work, and Lana comes home from school. Now, I have to say, guys, I thought this parenting gig was going to get easier as they grew up, but Lana has just started high school, and to be fair, it's a little bit overwhelming for her. There are a lot of balls to juggle. All of this moving between classes and different Google Classrooms for homework, meeting a whole bunch of new people, new teachers, new ways of learning. It is a lot for a person to take on. So this afternoon she came home and she was literally in tears. She was really upset that her maths teacher was just moving through the work too fast. And so, in my typical fashion, I gave her several options. I told her I was happy to hire a tutor for her. We could look at doing homework club, which is something that we put in place with some of the other kids last year. Or I could have a chat to the teacher and just see what was going on. And it's difficult when you're a parent, right? You want to be able to fix these things for your kids. You want their life to be as easy as possible, as stress-free as possible. And it is heartbreaking to see them in tears because they feel like they are putting so much effort in, but they just don't feel like they're getting the results that they deserve. So why am I telling you this? What's this got anything to do with retail businesses? Well, I see the exact same problem with retail and e-commerce store owners, putting so much time and effort and energy in and not seeing the results that they deserve. And sometimes they can spend months or even years just grinding away, doing the same thing day in, day out, and wondering why they're not moving any further forward. Now, while my advice to Lana is kind of going something along the lines of, you're just going to have to tough it out because things will get better, it isn't the same advice that I give to retail and e-commerce store owners. Because where Lana has to adapt to the change because it's something that she can't control and she just has to get used to the new normal, it's the complete opposite for store owners. You can't get used to that as your new normal. You can't get used to putting more and more effort in and not seeing the results that you want. If you let that become your new normal, then you will never get the business that you want. So, what's the answer? And if you followed me for a while, you know that my answer to you is going to be, you need to step up and be the CEO in your business. But what the heck does a CEO even do? Well, the CEO is the most senior executive in an organization. But let's be honest, there's a pretty good chance that you have never thought of yourself as being in that role. And heck, I can totally see why. every TV show, every movie has the CEO portrayed as this burnt out person throwing back 3 glasses of scotch at lunchtime and working till all hours of the night with no family life, probably divorced, and no one to love him. Who would choose that as a career, right? But let me ask you this. Does every successful retail or e-commerce brand CEO that you've ever seen in real life live like that? No, of course not. Most independent retail CEOs are passionate that they can make a change in the world. They're excited about helping their customers and they're eager to see what the future holds. So, if you're feeling a little bit burnt out and overwhelmed, a little bit stressed, and like every obstacle is throwing itself in front of you, how do you become the eager, excited, and enthusiastic CEO that is growing their retail empire? Well, the good news is that is exactly what I help store owners do. So in this episode, I'm going to give you the skinny. So in big organizations, the CEO is the top dog and they report to the board and they implement the board's strategy. But in your business, the most senior person, I'm guessing, is probably you. And you're most likely the same person who is overseeing the day-to-day operations. The CEO is responsible for the overall success of the business and for making what I would call top-level decisions in the business. Now, they don't have to go it alone. They can definitely ask other people for input. They can get advice. They can bring in consultants. But ultimately, they are the person, the top dog, the final authority who makes the business decisions. You see, most overworked and underpaid store owners do everything backwards. Right from the moment of business conception, they start off at literally the lowest positions on the employment ladder. The general dog's body, packing shelves, taking parcels to the post office, creating graphics for social media, and replying to Instagram DMs at 11 p.m. And I get it, all those jobs have to be done. And when you're first starting out, maybe you can't afford to build a team right away. 95% of store owners start off as the equivalent of an employee, and most never make it any further up the chain of command. Now sure, on the surface, they might call themselves a business owner, but the harsh reality is when you look at what they're doing day in and day out, they're just like every other employee. And so many get stuck for years, sometimes forever, in this position. They had it backwards, and you might have it backwards too. You need to position yourself as the CEO of your retail or e-commerce brand first. The CEO is responsible for making top-level business decisions. And because the CEO is responsible for the success or the failure of the company, if you're caught up doing all the busy work all day and flopping onto the sofa at 8 p.m. feeling like there are still so many things on your to-do list, do you really think you're going to be making the best top-level business decisions? Stepping into the CEO role doesn't have to be hard. Heck, you can do it right now. Type the letters CEO of your business in your email signature. You are most welcome to pause the podcast right here and go and do it now. Simple, done. This is actually one of the first exercises that we do inside of Scale Your Store. It sounds so easy, but trust me, when you step up and take control of your business by doing the things that I'm going to share with you in a minute, your entire perspective changes. Your business model quite often changes, and your expectations for your business change. Simply adding the letters CEO to your email signature creates a drastic mindset and business shift that leads to taking control of your business with clarity, confidence, and control. And if you're struggling right now to work out what you need to focus on, where to put your time and energy so you see real results, or you just wish someone would tell you what you need to do, then listen up, because I am about to reveal all. And if you don't have a singular focus, let me tell you, everything becomes your focus, which causes you to spread yourself out way too thin and never see the growth, the sales, and the freedom that you actually want. And if you feel that way right now, how much longer can you really keep this up? Becoming a retail CEO should never be just a dream, but rather it should be the essential ingredient required for you to hit your next level, regardless of where you're at right now. So that is the perfect segue to give you an overview of what a CEO actually does so that you can take those next steps to growing your retail or e-commerce empire. What I'm about to give you are the 3 things that not only allows you to be in control of your business, but also creates the sales that you want, the team that you want, and ultimately the lifestyle that you started this business for. Now, let's get something clear here right from the outset. The CEO is responsible for the success or the failure of the company. And that includes things like marketing, strategy, financing, company culture, PR, human resources, all the things. It all falls onto the CEO's shoulders. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like a position you might be in right now? But being responsible, it does not mean that the CEO actually does all of those things. Does that make sense? Think of a big organization. The CEO is not out there doing the Facebook ads. They're telling the marketing manager where they're headed, and they're expecting the marketing manager to get there. So the first role that the CEO has to be responsible for is creating the overarching vision, the goals, and the strategy for the growth of the company, and probably most importantly, overseeing the implementation of the strategy. Think of the CEO like being the captain of a ship. I'm not very great at analogies, so I'm going to give this one a go. The captain knows the destination. She's mapped out the course that she wants to take, and she's got her shipmates, sailors, to help her get there. But if you have no idea where you're going, if you just get in your ship and start sailing, what's going to happen? Well, you might run out of fuel, or you might hit a coral reef. Essentially, you're going to end up running into a crap load of obstacles. You're going to be stressed out, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to spend all your time trying to correct your course. And perhaps that might be where you're feeling like you're at right now. Constantly fighting fires, constantly trying to get yourself back on course. When it comes to setting the strategy and direction for your store, you get to choose the kinds of products that you're going to sell, the type of customers that you want to attract, what you're going to be known for, and how your brand is going to communicate. And for most of you listening, you started this business because you were passionate about a product or you wanted to be able to help people. Tap back into that why and set your course and then leverage your team to get there. Okay, so if setting the overarching goals and overseeing implementation is role number 1, then it will come as no surprise what role number 2 is going to be. It is building and leading your management team. Now, technically speaking, the CEO hires, fires, and leads their senior management team, who in turn hire, fire, and lead the rest of the team members. Now, this one can cause a little bit of consternation with some of the retail and e-commerce store owners that I work with because, well, you guys like to be in control. So it's here that I point out being in control is very, very different to being controlling. You do not have the mental bandwidth to know what every person in your business is doing. So having core people, and I've talked about some of those roles in the last few episodes, your e-commerce manager, your marketing manager, along with, say, your store manager, if you've got a bricks and mortar store. By having those core people in your business team that are taking your strategy and focusing on the implementation, can you see how this is going to free up so much of your brain space and give you back the time to do the parts of the business that light you up rather than drag you down? If you're not having to worry about uploading products to your store or making sure that the latest Facebook ad is getting published, then you get to focus on the things that are proven to grow your business. You're going to see bigger results faster. And if you're listening to this thinking, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine having an e-commerce manager and a marketing manager and a store manager, then you guys know that I'm a straight shooter, right? You are thinking way too small. If you continue to do all the things, then you will never be able to step into that role. And let's be honest, you don't enjoy doing all of the things. There are things that always get put off because they're not in your wheelhouse. They don't light you up. So the quicker you can get to the position where you don't need to do those things and we can appoint other people, then your business is going to grow exponentially. So it's time to stop thinking small and start thinking so much bigger so that you can get bigger results faster. Now, speaking of results, now that you're starting to get a clearer picture of your role as the CEO of your business, can you see that results are going to fast become one of your key indicators of how you're performing, how the business is performing, how that management team that you may or may not have just yet are performing? And a lot of people freak out here, but I can guarantee you, honestly, there is nothing to be afraid of. Even if you think you're not good with numbers, or the thought of doing a performance appraisal has you rushing for a bottle of gin, what tracking your metrics and reviewing results does is show you where you need to allocate resources. It shows you whether you've communicated your goals and expectations correctly. It shows you what you need to do more of to get better results, what you need to do less of to get better results. Results show you who might just need a little bit of extra training, or it might even unearth some team superpowers that you didn't even know existed. The hard fact is, you're probably measuring your success right now based on your turnover. But if you're not tracking what you're doing, then how can you ever know if the business is underperforming or if it's overperforming? All too often, the retailers that I work with, when we start working out, they've just pulled a revenue goal out of thin air. They don't map out a strategy to get there. They don't reverse engineer what it's going to take or what resources will be needed. And then they get to the end of the month or the end of the quarter or the end of the year, and they're disappointed. When the reality is having a goal, creating a focus, taking specific action and tracking results is far easier. It is way more rewarding, and most likely it will have you hitting bigger goals than you ever thought possible. I can literally, hand on my heart, tell you that every business that I've worked with that has started tracking metrics and put goals in place has made more money faster than they ever thought possible. So that's it. They're the key roles of a CEO. Creating the overarching vision, goals, and strategies for the business and overseeing the implementation of that strategy, building and leading a management team, and results. And if that sounds totally doable, a little bit exciting, but scary at the same time, or perhaps you're not yet sure if you're ready to be a retail CEO just yet, don't worry, it is totally normal. These shifts can take time. So if you're not yet clear on your path, don't stress. That shift is going to come. And to help you eliminate the overwhelm and to help you lead with confidence, clarity, and control, the good news is today I just released my free Retail Breakthrough series, which is designed to eliminate the overwhelm for you so that you can step up and be the retail CEO. You can get more done in less time without heaping more stuff onto your to-do list. It is totally free. It has just dropped today. It is only available for 2 weeks, and you can grab it over at selenaknight.com/breakthrough. So tell me, are you ready to step up and be a retail CEO? Does that sound like something that you could do? Make sure to hit reply on the email that I send out letting you know that this episode has dropped, or feel free to comment on Facebook or Instagram. Tell me your thoughts on the role of CEO, how it might change your business, and make sure to sign up for the Retail Breakthrough series over at selenaknight.com/breakthrough. It is truly amazing content, totally free, but only available for the next 2 weeks. Have a fantastic week, guys. I will see you right here next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selenaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.